By a show of hands, how many of you guys thought about looking for a job after college? I haven't really either. And for a lot of kids, coming out of school can be a nervous time when the job market is a little slow and there aren't as many opportunities as there. But some cities are stronger in some areas than others, and people are flocking to them. Today we're going to take a look at two regions that are doing really well right now, and we're also going to take a look at an area that has seen some struggling times but is looking on the come up. We're going to start our journey today in the West, and the West is the fastest growing region in the country right now. It has 12 of the top 20 fastest growing cities on the Forbes America's fastest growing cities list, which is 60% of the list. I mean, that's a substantial portion of the list right there. California alone has 4 of the top 20, which is more than any other state. And California is one of the western areas we're going to talk about today. We're also going to talk about Utah. But Aaron Carlisle, a reporter for Forbes magazine, brings to light the Silicon Valley and San Francisco area's attraction of employment through this tech bubble, what they call it. They've seen employment rise of 5.3%, which is the highest of any other area in the country. San Francisco's seen around 4.3, which is the second highest. So they're doing very well out there. Another area that Aaron talks about, or Miss Carlisle talks about, is Utah. Utah is an up-and-coming area. They have a large metropolitan community located between Salt Lake City and Ogden. That kind of forms a large metropolitan area. They've seen substantial growth as well in the tech industry. I believe they've generated 57,000 jobs from 4,300 companies in the software field, so they're doing great as well. Next we're going to move down south, and that's the second fastest growing region in the country right now. They have 8 of the top 20 on that Forbes list. But more specifically, they have the number one fastest growing city in the country, and that is Austin, Texas. Texas is so special because they've had the fastest growing city for the last 5 years in a row. It's moved from Houston to Austin. And Carlisle says that's because of its strong biotech, pharmaceutical industries, and it has an extremely low cost of living. Josh Brown, a journalist at Time, identified the exact numbers, and it was over 300,000 people in the last year have moved into this Texas metropolitan area, whether it be Austin, you name it. So that is it for the South. That's what we're going to look at. Now we're going to go to the Midwest and the East, the sort of struggling region, more or less because of the transition of industrialization overseas in search of the lower cost of labor. Mark Sommer says it well when he said Detroit was an exemplary example of middle class rise in the 1930s, when it was the motor city and they had plenty of jobs, plenty of rise. But once the jobs went overseas, they lost everything that they had built up, and they fell into sort of a recession, more or less. Socioeconomist named George Hober did a research analysis of Detroit and the similar Rust Belt areas, and he found that they showed promising improvement and hope for the future. In conclusion, we've taken a good look at some of the hot spots in the United States for population growth, and also we've taken a look at some areas that have struggled but are back on the rise, hopefully. Thank you guys for listening to what I had to say, and that'll be a wrap.